In a quiet suburban town, the Henderson family lived a peaceful life. One day, little Timmy Henderson received a mysterious package. Inside was a vintage toy, a talking clown doll named Chuckles. Timmy was thrilled and instantly bonded with the doll. The toy had a mischievous grin and piercing blue eyes. That night, strange noises echoed through the house. Timmy's parents dismissed it as the house settling. But Timmy noticed Chuckles had moved positions. Chuckles was now sitting on the dresser, staring at Timmy. Timmy brushed it off as his imagination. The next morning, the family dog refused to enter Timmy's room. Timmy's parents were concerned, but didn't suspect the doll. Chuckles began to speak in a deeper, unsettling voice. "Let's play a game, Timmy," it whispered. Timmy laughed, thinking it was just a toy. But the games Chuckles suggested were odd and dangerous. Timmy's behavior started to change. He became more withdrawn. At school, Timmy drew disturbing pictures of Chuckles. The teacher called his parents, worried about his mental state. At home, Timmy insisted on keeping Chuckles by his side. One evening, Timmy's mother heard giggling coming from his room. She peeked in to see Timmy talking to Chuckles in a hushed tone. "What are you two up to?" she asked, uneasy. "We're planning a surprise," Timmy said, smiling eerily. Timmy's mother felt a chill, but didn't press further. That night, the family's electricity flickered on and off. The house grew cold and strange shadows danced on the walls. Timmy's father checked the fuse box, but everything was normal. Meanwhile, Chuckles' eyes seemed to glow in the dark. Timmy's mother decided to investigate the doll's origins. She discovered it was an antique from a notorious toymaker. The toymaker was rumored to have dabbled in dark magic. The dolls were said to be cursed, bringing bad luck and tragedy. Alarmed, she tried to take Chuckles away from Timmy. Timmy screamed and cried, clutching the doll tightly. His father intervened and managed to pry the doll away. They locked Chuckles in the attic, hoping that would end the nightmare. But that night, the family was awakened by loud thumps. It sounded like something was moving around in the attic. The noise stopped suddenly, leaving an eerie silence. Timmy's parents checked the attic, but Chuckles was gone. They searched the house, but the doll had vanished. Timmy was inconsolable, crying for his lost friend. The family dog began growling at an empty corner of the room. Timmy's father noticed the lights flickering in the hallway. He followed the flickers and found Chuckles sitting on the stairs. The doll's face was twisted into a sinister smile. "You shouldn't have locked me away," it whispered. The father grabbed Chuckles and tossed it into the fireplace. Flames engulfed the doll, but it didn't burn. Instead, Chuckles laughed maniacally as the flames licked its body. The family watched in horror as the doll emerged unscathed. "I'm here to stay," Chuckles declared ominously. The family knew they had to do something drastic. They decided to leave the house, abandoning it and the doll. But as they packed, Timmy disappeared. Panic ensued as they searched the house frantically. They found Timmy in the attic, cradling Chuckles. "He says we can't leave," Timmy said in a flat voice. The parents tried to take Timmy, but an invisible force pushed them back. The doll's eyes glowed brighter, and the house began to shake. Furniture levitated and crashed around them. The family realized the doll was possessing Timmy. They fled the house, leaving Timmy behind. Outside, they watched in horror as the house crumbled. But then, the house suddenly restored itself, as if nothing had happened. They heard Chuckles' laughter echoing through the night air. The police arrived, but there was no trace of Timmy or the doll. The family was devastated, believing they had lost Timmy forever. But a week later, the family received another package. Inside was a note: "He's with me now. Don't try to find us." Timmy's parents were horrified but helpless. They knew the doll was out there with their son. The family moved far away, hoping to escape the curse. But every night, they heard Chuckles' laughter in their dreams. Timmy's mother couldn't bear the guilt and fell into depression. She spent her days staring at old photos of Timmy. Timmy's father tried to comfort her, but he was equally broken. They both knew they had made a terrible mistake. Meanwhile, in a distant town, another family found an old toy. It was a clown doll with a mischievous grin and piercing blue eyes. The new family was charmed by the doll's vintage look. They brought it home, unaware of the horrors it carried. The doll introduced itself as Chuckles to their young daughter. She loved the doll immediately, oblivious to its dark history. That night, the new family heard strange noises in their home. The pattern began again, with Chuckles at the center. Timmy's face appeared in the doll's eyes, a silent plea for help. The doll whispered to the little girl, "Let's play a game." The girl smiled, ready for a new friend. Chuckles' laughter filled the house as the cycle started anew. The Hendersons watched the news, seeing reports of strange occurrences. They knew the doll had found a new home, but they were powerless to stop it, haunted by their failure. The doll continued its reign of terror, moving from house to house. Each family fell victim to its cursed games. Timmy's soul was trapped inside, crying for release. Chuckles thrived on the chaos and fear it spread. The cycle would never end, as long as someone was willing to play. And so, the cursed toy remained, an eternal nightmare in a child's plaything. In the new family's home, the young girl, Lily, became increasingly attached to Chuckles. The doll began to influence Lily's behavior, making her more mischievous and secretive. At school, Lily's teachers noticed a drastic change in her personality. Lily started drawing disturbing pictures of Chuckles, much like Timmy had. The new family dog refused to enter Lily's room, growling at the door. Lily's parents were concerned but dismissed it as a phase. Chuckles began to whisper dark thoughts into Lily's mind. Lily became more isolated, spending all her time with the doll. The house started experiencing strange phenomena: flickering lights, cold spots, and eerie sounds. One night, Lily's mother found Chuckles sitting on the kitchen counter. She was sure she had left the doll in Lily's room. The doll's eyes seemed to follow her as she moved around the kitchen. Lily's mother tried to put the doll back in Lily's room, but Chuckles resisted. The doll's head turned on its own, fixing its gaze on her. Startled, she dropped the doll, but it landed upright, its grin widening. That night, Lily's mother had a nightmare about Chuckles. In the dream, the doll grew to human size and chased her through the house. She woke up in a cold sweat, hearing Chuckles' laughter echoing in her ears. The next morning, Lily was found sleepwalking with Chuckles in her arms. Her parents decided to get rid of the doll, but Lily became hysterical. "You can't take him away," she screamed, holding Chuckles tightly. Her parents reluctantly agreed to keep the doll, not wanting to upset her further. The situation at home grew worse as the days passed. Objects would move on their own, and strange shadows appeared on the walls. Lily's father noticed that the doll's eyes seemed to glow in the dark. He tried to investigate the doll's origins but found no records of it. Desperate, he contacted a paranormal expert for help. The expert arrived and immediately sensed a dark presence in the house. He warned the family that the doll was cursed and must be destroyed. But when he tried to touch Chuckles, he was violently thrown across the room. The expert advised the family to leave the house and never return. They packed their bags, but Lily refused to leave without Chuckles. In the chaos, Lily ran off with the doll, hiding somewhere in the house. Her parents searched frantically, but she was nowhere to be found. The expert performed a cleansing ritual to banish the doll's spirit, but the ritual only seemed to anger Chuckles, who unleashed his full power. The house shook violently, and the walls began to bleed. The expert was overcome by the dark energy and collapsed. Lily's parents finally found her in the attic, clutching Chuckles. The doll's eyes were glowing bright red, and it spoke in a demonic voice. "She's mine now," Chuckles declared, as Lily's eyes turned black. The parents tried to grab Lily, but an invisible force kept them at bay. The expert, regaining consciousness, told them to destroy the doll immediately. But Chuckles laughed, saying, "You'll never destroy me." The parents grabbed the doll and threw it into the fireplace. The flames roared, but the doll did not burn. Chuckles' laughter grew louder as the fire spread through the house. The expert shouted an incantation, weakening the doll's power. But the doll fought back, summoning spirits to attack them. The spirits swirled around the family, creating a vortex of chaos. Lily's father grabbed a hammer and smashed Chuckles repeatedly. The doll finally cracked, releasing a burst of dark energy. The spirits screamed and vanished, and the house fell silent. Chuckles lay in pieces, his grin finally gone. Lily collapsed, unconscious but alive. The expert warned the family that the curse could still return. They left the house, taking Lily to the hospital for treatment. The doctors were baffled by Lily's condition but said she would recover. The family moved far away, hoping to start anew. But Lily's parents couldn't shake the feeling that the doll wasn't truly gone. They heard whispers in the night and saw shadows in their new home. Lily, once cheerful, was now quiet and distant. She refused to talk about Chuckles as if she didn't remember. But at night, she would hum a strange tune that sounded eerily familiar. The parents were haunted by their experience, unable to find peace. They tried to destroy the pieces of Chuckles, but they always reappeared. The expert advised them to bury the pieces in separate locations. They did as instructed, but strange events continued to happen. Lily's father started having nightmares about the doll. In the dreams, Chuckles was whole again, waiting to return. The family dog refused to enter Lily's room, growling at the door. Lily's mother noticed scratches appearing on the walls at night. The family grew more paranoid, fearing the curse would never end. They sought out more paranormal experts, but none could help. The experts all agreed that the doll's curse was too powerful. The family considered moving again, but they knew it wouldn't help. Lily's condition worsened, and she began speaking in her sleep. She would repeat phrases Chuckles had said, sending chills down her parents' spines. One night, Lily's mother found a note in Lily's handwriting. The note said, "He's coming back. We can't stop him." The parents realized they were trapped in an endless nightmare. They decided to confront the curse head-on, no matter the cost. They gathered all the pieces of Chuckles and prepared for a final ritual. The expert warned them it could be dangerous, but they had no choice. They began the ritual, chanting the incantation to banish the curse. The house shook, and the pieces of Chuckles began to glow. The spirits returned, trying to stop the ritual. The family fought through the fear, determined to end the curse. The pieces of Chuckles fused together, forming a ghostly apparition. The doll's spirit screamed, trying to escape the ritual's power. The expert continued the chant, sealing the spirit inside a containment jar. The jar glowed brightly, then dimmed as the curse was contained. The spirit vanished, and the house was finally at peace. The family was exhausted but relieved that the nightmare was over. They buried the jar in a remote location, hoping the curse would never return. Lily slowly began to recover, her nightmares fading away. The family found a new home and started to rebuild their lives. But deep down, they knew the curse might still be out there. They lived in constant vigilance, never forgetting the horror they endured. And somewhere, in the darkness, the doll's laughter echoed, waiting for the next family to play. Years later, the Hendersons received an anonymous package at their new home. Inside was the containment jar, cracked open, with a note saying, "He's back." The family was horrified, knowing the curse had returned. Lily, now a teenager, felt a dark presence growing within her. The nightmares returned, more vivid and terrifying than before. Lily's parents contacted the expert, who warned them of a final confrontation. The expert explained that the curse had grown stronger over time. They needed to perform a powerful ritual to banish the spirit forever. The family gathered the necessary items for the ritual. They traveled to the location where the doll's pieces were buried. The expert warned them that this would be the most dangerous encounter yet. As they began the ritual, the ground trembled and dark clouds gathered overhead. The spirit of Chuckles emerged from the jar, more menacing than ever. The doll's ghostly form towered over them, eyes glowing with malice. The expert instructed the family to chant the incantation together. The ground split open, revealing a swirling vortex of light and shadow. The spirit of Chuckles was drawn toward the vortex, struggling to resist. The entities screamed as they were pulled into the vortex one by one. The expert instructed the family to finish the incantation with one final push. They chanted in unison, their voices blending into a powerful harmony. The spirit of Chuckles was sucked into the vortex, its form distorting. The vortex began to close, sealing the spirit inside forever. The ground rumbled as the last of the dark entities were banished. The vortex vanished, leaving behind a sense of peace and calm. The expert collapsed, exhausted from the intense ritual. The family rushed to his side, relieved that it was finally over. The expert assured them that the spirit of Chuckles was gone for good. They gathered the remnants of the ritual and prepared to leave. Lily felt a weight lifted off her shoulders, the darkness finally gone. The family returned to their new home, ready to move forward. They decided to never speak of Chuckles again, leaving the past behind. But the experience had changed them, leaving deep scars. Lily became stronger, determined to live her life free of fear. Her parents found solace in knowing their family was safe. The expert continued his work, helping others with their paranormal troubles. He remained in contact with the family, offering support when needed. The Hendersons rebuilt their lives, focusing on love and happiness. They made new memories, cherishing every moment together. But they never forgot the terror they had faced. The memory of Chuckles lingered in the back of their minds. They took precautions, always vigilant for signs of the supernatural. Lily grew up to be a strong, independent woman. She pursued her dreams, never letting fear hold her back. Her parents were proud of the person she had become. The family's bond grew stronger through the trials they had faced. They knew they could overcome anything as long as they were together. Years passed and the memory of Chuckles faded. The family found peace, but they remained cautious. The expert continued his work, but he never encountered anything as powerful as Chuckles again. The Hendersons moved to a new city, starting fresh with no ties to the past. Lily eventually had a family of her own, passing on the lessons she had learned. She taught her children to be brave and to face their fears. Her parents grew old, content with the life they had built. The family gathered every year to celebrate their love and resilience. They lived in harmony, surrounded by friends and loved ones. But deep in the shadows, the spirit of Chuckles waited, biding its time. For now, It was trapped, but the curse was never truly broken. The jar remained hidden, a ticking time bomb waiting to be discovered. And when that day came, the nightmare would begin anew. But until then, the Hendersons lived in peace, cherishing every moment. They had faced the darkness and come out stronger on the other side. The family's love and unity had been their greatest weapon, and they knew that, no matter what, they would always stand together. The world moved on, oblivious to the horrors that had once been unleashed. But the Hendersons would never forget the name Chuckles. It was a reminder of the darkness that could lurk behind a smile. The expert kept watch, knowing that the supernatural was never far away. He continued his work, protecting others from the unknown. And as long as he lived, the spirit of Chuckles would remain contained. The story of Chuckles became a cautionary tale, whispered in the shadows. Parents warned their children to beware of the smiling dolls. But most dismissed it as just another ghost story, a thing of the past. The Hendersons knew better, for they had lived through the nightmare. And though they had found peace, they knew that evil could return at any time. So they stayed vigilant, ready to face whatever came their way. And in the darkness, the faint echo of laughter reminded them that some spirits never truly die.